yeah, here we are. Let's get some noise going. Okay, let's see. Where do we go from here? Hello, Enrico. How you doing, buddy? We are... Well, I have to say thank you to JD Does Dev and Maniac, because I never said thank you to these two for the subs yesterday. Maybe we can just pin that in the witch box then, right? There we go. And JD Does Dev for the subs yesterday. Didn't see it until after stream. There we go. All right. Beauty. No, we don't need that to be a vertical stack. Okay. Well then, isn't that exciting? Okay. Probably not an awful lot. I don't really know what we're gonna do. I'm happy to hear that, Robotic. I don't know what we're gonna do. So we'll do this though. There we go. There's something gross about this. It's kind of like, yeah. We are doing it live, Cat Peasant. Yes, I did. Keyboard build stream? No, that's far from set up. I don't have anything set up for keyboard build stream. I do have duct tape and some toxic chemicals on the table. It's plant food, so not that exciting. What should we do here? We can do that so they stick out a little bit more. I mean, why have pinned messages when we can just change the template? A lot of ice in here. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do. So we should probably try to set the tone a little bit for what we can maybe expect from today. I do feel like we need to have a bit of music going on. I probably shouldn't have done streaming now, should I? This was a little bit of a mistake, I'm sorry to say. The streaming was a mistake. Wait, what's that supposed to mean? Wow, yeah, not touching that conversation with a 6-foot barge pole. What is this? Is this a bit too slow for us? Alright, that one's not gonna come up on the YouTube stream. I'm sorry, Cat Peasant, you don't get the music. I don't dare to enable it there. what's with the stream title? I genuinely don't know what we're gonna stream today. So I just wrote some complete nonsense in there, right? That stream title is a little bit of me trying to be honest in a flippant fashion, right? So normally, if you're streaming, if you want to have any level of success with your streaming, you should prepare your streams, right? You should have some idea what you're doing, and you should have some kind of direction. Maybe you have a topic you want to talk about, or you have a project that you're building on, and you should, in general, know which direction you're heading in when you sit down to stream, right? Otherwise, it's just Wild West, anyone's guess, right? Clickbait, yeah, that is true. Okay, let's just write clickbait title, or insert clickbait title here. There we go. That's better. So you should generally have some kind of idea of what you're doing when you're streaming, right? What am I going to do? What am I going to talk about? What do I want to project, and whatever, right? I have a video I want to make, but I'd love to say that I'm just procrastinating on the video, but in reality, I have so many things going on in the meat space right now. This morning has been cleaning out garages, in plural, cleaning out the garage some more, driving a bunch of stuff to the dump, and what else have I done? Feels like I've done a lot, but that kind of took up most of the morning, right? And I have this video I want to do. Increment the day number and fight Golda for a few hours. So I think that works, Pepper, if you're in the lower numbers. Although I see that your stream is getting a lot of traction, which I'm happy for, right? You have, when I started following you and we were chatting, I think you had maybe like between 7 and 13 viewers or whatever. Now when I check out your stream, you have like over 40. So that's a pretty good rise, right? Meanwhile, my viewer count is going down and my frail ego is suffering. But yeah, so anyway, if you're going to do streaming, try to have a direction that you're going to go in. And I was really tired yesterday when I started streaming, but I have committed to doing the stream that I wanted. That was the sponsored segment, right? By the way, I talked to them to like, I sent them an email, hoping they were happy with the stream. I had a lot of fun yesterday. I hope you guys had a lot of fun with it too. Thank you for the cheer, Rod. Thank you so much. Awesome title. Yeah. Clickbait title. So I enjoyed it. And I'm being very honest with these things, right? You could see me struggle with the product at one point. They emailed me this morning asking if I want, like, maybe do more collab stuff with them, and I'm happy to. Like, they are the loveliest people, right? They seem like really like a nice sponsor to have, and I have a lot of fun with the product when we stream it, right? So why not, right? They did tell me that, because one of the things I was doing is trying to get transparent images into the thing that we were building, right? And as part of that, or rather, as part of the email they sent me this morning, they said that they have literally just launched something that should allow it to handle transparent images, right? So, yeah, this time, Pepper, let me show you what we built, though, right? Let me show you what we built. Let's go to my profile. Let's go to the draft here, or the published one. So we built two things. This one, oh, I thought I'd regress this one, but this one will let you make a background picture like I have here, right? That is inspired by the Darkest Dungeon. So you can do something like Minecraft, and then what should we do here? Like Rust programmer, right? So this should now generate 3 background pictures in the style of Minecraft with Rust programmer as the subject, right? And that's really useful when you want to make like quick backdrops and stuff for streams, right? Like we did with the game one, right, of the Darkest Dungeon. So yeah. Let's see if this thing actually what it's gonna output now. My account with them will expire in a few days, so I have to renew my account maybe. But so while this thing is ticking as well, right? Because it does take a while to generate images. The other thing we did, which was really cool, and I think this thing has a lot of potential. I have to run it full screen, but let's say that we're making a dungeon crawler RPG. No, let's say a dungeon crawler bullet hell top-down game, and the style should be industrial, dark, gloomy, right? So we're gonna generate the background for this, and now we're gonna describe some elements, right? So an HP bar we had. And well, let me full screen this thing as HP bar, attack button, defend button, a character, stats, kind of thing, right? And then we generate some elements for this thing, right? And the thing is, I had it formatted like this, and I thought it was broken. It wasn't until I like full screened it when I realized that no, I'm just not seeing the whole thing, right? This thing is taking a while, isn't it? We'll see. All right, so look at this thing, right? This is so cool. So with this, we can now build like user interfaces for a game to see what these things look like, right? So we might have like defend and attack down here. Let's make them a little bit bigger. So you can sort of like see, you can like make a game based on, you're not making a game, you're making a game user interface based on this, right? So maybe we have that here, then we have the attack and defend button, make them a little bit smaller. Maybe we have like attack and defend here, and here's that. Oh yeah, by the way, shift will snap to grid, which is a really cool thing. We'll make this thing a little bit bigger as well. So we have attack and defend here. Right, so and we can just keep adding elements to this thing. So really easy way to build up a user interface for a game and like try it out. Right, here you go. Right, so Minecraft Rust programmer. I just love how quickly we got this thing going, and this is really like. I guess there's supposed to be like the Rust thing, right? And dude's ear is a bit messed up, but this is just hilarious. This is if you're gonna do something on stream, this one is like a really useful way of generating disposable context relevant images. Like for instance, let's say that we're gonna do a Rust Minecraft clone, right? We're just gonna straight up copy Spacetime DB's project now, right? What Bobby was doing. So we just describe that. We generate a picture, and we can now have that as our backdrop for our like stream starting soon kind of thing, right? So we're not subject to the same style over and over again, right? So these are the kind of things that they have. I think this is really good. I had a lot of fun with this stuff, and they give me like, let's do this for I think like the first time I talked about it, they're like, okay, but you run the segment for like half an hour, and I don't know how long I went. And then yesterday I think we went for like 3 hours messing around with this stuff because it's actually fun to mess around with, right? Spacetime DB looks really cool, yeah. Yeah, and I don't know Blave intimately. I've chatted with him a little bit. He's been in my chat a little bit and stuff. But he seems like a really level-headed dude. And Boppio has impressed me from the time he like started streaming, how quickly he got Rust and stuff. So he's and he's a really lovely guy too. So of the people involved in that, I only know of those two, but I highly rate those guys. Right, they're really lovely guys. So I'm hoping Spacetime DB does really well. I think it does. Right, I think they already are on the way, like well on the way to do well, right? They're already doing well, aren't they? So yeah, now that's very cool. Okay, so what should we talk about today when it comes to programming and programming related things? You know what? Let's talk about one thing here without mentioning names or anything. All right. Sergeant Pepper is a terrible person. I'm kidding. You're gonna mess with Spacetime this week? Oh, that's cool. Oh, you should definitely tag your stream with it. I'm sure one of them will come and say hi. And I think they're quite helpful as well when it comes to like what to do with it, because it is. They are not the first people I hear do this, right? There's another project, another Rust project called Bonsai DB, where they put they put all the logic for networking and everything into the database, right? So Spacetime DB and Bonsai DB both kind of promote this building. It's a little bit unorthodox, building your game logic into your database kind of thing, right? So it's really and Surreal DB. I don't know Surreal DB, right? So it's really an interesting approach to this, because if someone tells you about doing something like this, like we're gonna build, if someone told me we're gonna build our entire application in the database, I would be like, okay, well, you are new, okay, and I would be really huffy about it, right, and arrogant. But that's just because I'm on the internet, right? All right, hang on, I'm missing something, you say. Did you know that a Rust compiler can optimize away bounce check if it can guarantee that the provided index is always valid? You don't have to, Yusuf. I know this. And to take this a step further, if you use assertions in your code, you can make an early assertion that proves that something is within bounds, and you can eliminate bounce checks that way as well. It's like store procedure 2.0. Yes, but by mentioning store procedures, I'm with you, but I think we still exist in that old mindset, right? I don't know what Spacetime DB supports language-wise other than Rust. I don't know about C#, but as a Rust developer, I don't really look too far. I see that the language I care about is supported, and I don't look further than that. But that's because I know Spacetime DB is written in Rust, and I know about it from interacting with some Rust developers. So to me, the language was never relevant around the product. It's not that I don't care that it supports other languages or don't support your favorite language. It's that it was never relevant in the conversation to me, right? It's not just the Rust compiler, you say. So you get a lot of benefits from the Rust compiler. But the Rust compiler outputs LLVM intermediate representation. And LLVM, which is the massive beast of a project, has so many optimizations built into it that you can take advantage of from there as well, right? As a matter of fact, there are performance optimizations that can be done by proving that memory will never change or something isn't mutable and so on and so forth. It's very interesting, right? I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to answer you, right, VZ. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to answer you in a polite way or a silly way as a joke. But then maybe the joke is gone in a like semi-snarky way, but maybe you get offended, and that's not my intention, right? So let's just go with you're watching it. TypeScript support? Really? I mean, you literally have the Rust gamer in your name here. I don't know if we buy that you're some kind of TypeScript dev. Right? This looks a little bit ominous to me at this point. Should we fire up game though before we go too far? Ooh, this one feels like I should know what this is. Giving me Sega vibes. What? This is an old game. Nah. Missile Command. There you go. 1980. What a game this was, right? If you haven't played Missile Command, the game loop is pretty basic, but it's pretty good. You got projectiles coming from the top down, and you are supposed to you select a point. Like this game in the arcade was played with a trackball. You select a point on the screen where you're going to fire, and then you fire your missile. Fire some missiles. And it has like an explosion ratio, and that's supposed to collide with the incoming missiles. And so you kind of have to predict what it's going to be, right? It's a fun game loop. Simplistic, but fun. Oh man, they're going all for the older games now. I'm not quite sure. I want to say 97 from the graphic style, but I don't know the game. I'm going to be plus minus a year from 97 here. 2000 is Overlord, really? Okay, well, I'm off. Entertainer, there you go, right? Entertainer and disperser of platitudes. One day, I might say something that sounds wise, and you guys will be like, wow, he must be really smart. It's an accident, but you don't have to know that, right? Thrust Gamer, Rust is a difficult language to learn, so you're not wrong. It's not impossible, and it's not prohibitively bad, like difficult to learn, but it's not as easy to skive from your learnings when it comes to Rust. You can't be too casual with what you do. You kind of have to commit to learning a few new concepts. Absolutely. I am retired. The missile knows where the missile died. All right, we're almost done with this gross drink. Okay, here we go. Hello, Skylar. Okay. Let's talk about programming, shall we? That's always fun. Or should we do some programming? Should we start writing some net code? We could try to break down what we need to build a UDP network layer for game dev. We can do that. It's fun, educational, and useful. There are many solutions out there that solves this for you. So if you're interested in a solution and you don't want to learn anything, then go and do that. That is a better investment of your time than the route I'm going to take. I want to get familiar with this, so I think we're gonna build this from scratch. It's a better way to learn. You can also learn by taking apart someone else's code, but that is probably not the path I want to take here, right? Yeah. Should we? There are so many things I should look at. Why don't we start there? Why don't we go to this place? And let's look at what we have. So we don't actually have anything for the net, right? So let's cargo new library bungin net. That'll be sufficient. Now we have to clean up our toml file because this thing does that. And I think that's a bug, but who knows? I'm gonna look at what I did with my cargo toml here. Whoops, there's an all ridge there. No, the rest is fine. Yeah, we're good. So we don't put we do put them as workspace true. And then we add them as workspace devices. So that is an easier way of dealing with this. So we end up with something like this. And then workspace true. I think that's it. How do we get so many brackets in here? I don't know. There. Hello, Raga, how you doing? Okay, so we're gonna add the bungin net to this thing as well. Yeah, we're good. Let's go into the net one here and let's get rid of all this stuff, right? What are the important things to know about UDP network? And there's quite a lot, but the MTU is going to be important. And I think maybe for that reason, we're going to set the MTU already to like 1477, I think, is a decent MTU. For this. We might not need this at all. We'll come to that. I think it's like a maximum. Is it like maximum transfer unit or whatever? Maximum transmission unit, right? Technically, it's not a wife beater because it's not a mesh, but I have given up on not looking like a douche on stream. I just accept it instead. It is way too warm for me to care. I'm sorry. Let's go to Rust and find the UDP client and UDP server, right? So the funny thing about UDP is that you don't actually have to be connected, right? I'm sorry, Intricate, but I cannot get myself to really get into a detailed conversation about the weather. Every time we do, I die a little inside because I think about the fact that we are we are acting like two old men feeding the ducks in the park, but we do this as a community. We start talking about the weather. But it is warm. It is warm everywhere, right? Is the stream delayed? That yeah, so it's the maximum amount of bytes you can pack into a packet, right? Oh no, I didn't mean to dismiss you, Intricate. That was not my intention, right? It's like it was more of a we're talking about the weather. We've moved so far ahead in technology from whatever, right? And we still talk about the weather, right? Now I feel bad. Okay, so let's make an example here, right? For that to work, we need to know how we can submit some data, right? In the sense of netcat, right? So netcat UDP. Let's see what we could do is we could just do this, right? Apparently not. Why don't I have that? Okay. So we should be able to submit things over UDP, right? So okay, there we go, right? Dash U. So let's kind of build this up where we set something up to accept incoming messages and we store these as some kind of connection, even though, and this has to be said, you cannot really establish a connection with UDP. So it's not like you have a UDP listener that accepts incoming connections. It's more that you have a UDP, you accept incoming traffic, UDP traffic, and you get that from a port, right? We're not going to deal with Quick today. Quick is way beyond what we're going to deal with. We're going to write an abstraction around this. So if we wanted to replace this with Quick, that would be a possibility. The heat is definitely getting to me. It is, and having been outside doing work as well is very tiresome, right? Very tiresome. Okay, so instead of TCP, cannot be used together with X for domain sockets. Use a datagram socket instead of a stream socket. If we use domain socket is used, temporary receiving socket is created in temp unless the S flag is used. Okay, so that's how we can send some data. The next thing we need is to be able to deal with this data, right? So we need some kind of listener, right? So let's just create a run function here where we're going to do all of this stuff in, and then we make a new main RS file here, and we're going to use run here, not runt. So here we're just going to have our hello world, and that's it, right? So we can now build things and we can test them from here as well, right? So let's see what we end up with here for a UDP socket. I always forget about the broadcast here, but I like to think that we should never use it for our gaming. And this thing should just be like a metaphor more than anything. So we're going to bind this to an address. Let's start with that. So use .NET UDP socket, right? I think that's all we have in this space. Yeah. Okay, I think we're good. So let's set up our connection. And we'll just bind this to localhost 5000. Do we unwrap this or not? We do. And that's it, right? Now we're going to have a loop here for which we're going to perform our operations. Hello, Wairu. Hello, Christopher. How are you doing? So let's use the thread for this. Actually, let's do a sleep MS instead. Even though this thing has been deprecated forever, but I'm probably just not going to stop using it out of convenience. It is such a convenient function to use, right? All good. All good. Hello, Ruth. How you doing? Yeah, I put on some music because I am a little bit thinky today on stream. I'm warm and smelly, but so I'm going to be a bit sluggish on account of that. But I'm also going to try to spend some time thinking. So having some music rather than just silence is probably going to help, right? Okay. No, Monokuma, I'm trying to completely myself up here. That's one. I presume so. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Don't report me, okay? Learning resources for WGPU. We're not doing WGPU today, but I can tell you about Sorter. Here. Actually, this might be a good place to start. Oh, damn it. Come on, Chris. And then look at the examples and the documentation. It's a lot of jumping around, though, Wairu. But you'll get there. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Okay, so we bound the socket. We need to have a buffer to read into. So for this, we'll set up one that is the size of the MTU. Now we could have been a little bit unsafe with this thing, but we're not going to. You got a fully green screen working. Did you just paint your monitor? Okay, so we're gonna read into this thing. So connection, but let's have a look at that, right? So when we say receive from, we're gonna know who is sending us a message, right? So let's have a simple hash map here of connections, right? And when we do a receive from buff, we're gonna get two parts, right? We're gonna get the sender and probably the byte count, I think, as a result, perhaps. As a result. No, other way around. Like that. Now, we don't know. Come on, man. There we go, right? So what we'll do here is we shall remember who is who, right? By saying connections dot get. No, we're going to use the entry API with the sender. the next email, but there was like so many parts of that that made no sense, but I celebrate you for it. Now, if we do it this way, we won't know. Actually, we will know. We will know. All right, let's do this. We'll make this buffer object, and we're going to implement read for buffer. And that has to be IO read. Like that. Okay. And we can use type inference for this, right? So we're going to get the entry here based on the sender. So we're going to look at the entry API. This will allow us to insert if something is missing, but we want to insert, hello, late. We want to insert with a new data type unlocked. Exactly, right? What's this? Okay, we'll look at that later. An entry, and we can do insert with. That takes a function. Yes, that's what we want to do, right? But we don't want to do that, right? We want to get an entry. Yeah, actually, this is not what I want to do, right? No entry to be had here. And if this thing is none, we want to do a insert of the sender and a unit. If it's some, then we have an existing connection. We're going to do something else, right? That seemed to be the ID here. I'm thinking about this backwards now, so bear with me a hot second. This is going to call receive from. This has nothing to do with read. No, I don't know why I thought that. So we can make the buffer into something else. By using dref and dref mute, right? We are... My brain, it has just forgotten the keyboard where keys are. That was concerning, right? So you should be able to select something and wrap it in. Right? I don't know what the keyboard shortcut for that is anymore. It completely escapes my mind, right? I don't know how to unpack that comment, Skylar, but you are setting yourself up there, but I'm not going to take the bait. Okay, so let's implement the dref for our buffer. It's a little bit annoying that I went with const generics here, I see. No. Why don't we just copy this thing then? Deref mute. Hello, Tapgoal. It's going all right. It seemed to be effective though, right? At least 2 new viewers have come here on account of the title then, right? Okay, so we can now do this for the buffer, right? So we have this buffer that we should extend this buffer with some functionality as well, right? So let's just implement the buffer itself. And let's have a function for username here that is going to translate the buffer into a string size. And we are gonna make a nosy assumption that what we're getting is always valid UTF-8 data, right? So we kind of need an index as well, right? When we do a read. Yeah, see, this is the problem though, isn't it? So it should really be the buffer that does the reading and not the connection, right? So this will be the inner to index. And there will be stir from UTF-8. We can do UTF-8 lossy if we wanted to. UTF-8 lossy will be kind of safer in this case, but it's going to give us a callback. Wherever C, C++ dev, or Rust, the lowest level work, no and no. Okay, this one only works with strings, which is why we get a cow stir back. It makes sense, but in reality, we want to get a string slice back. Oh, I see. That's why. Okay. I have worked on commercial projects with Objective-C, and there was some C code involved in that, but I wasn't particularly good with it. I remember the C pro. I was given some C code, and the C programmer said you should be able to use this with Objective-C, and I said, okay, I will get this to work, right? I tried it, got it working, and I showed it to him, and he goes, I don't know how this is working, but it shouldn't be working, and I felt so dumb. What is the lowest I'll work with? Commercially, that would be Objective-C and C. But as a hobby, I've worked with assembly or written assembly code for PIC micros and stuff, right? So this one could work, but then we're dealing with a cow instead. Then I think we'll just skip that one. So we'll do this, and then we'll expect. I have low expectations. There we go, right? So this will allow us to store the bytes here, attach the. So we're borrowing cell for the duration of blah blah. You guys know how this stuff works, right? So the index is 0. At this point, we kind of want to have a new function instead of doing this anyway, right? So let's just, whoops. Let's just make a new function here. So we'll have our inner value simply be 0 and our index to be 0, unsurprisingly. So we don't have to deal with this thing. We're gonna shut this one down just because I don't want to see the error messages while I'm doing this, right? I'm loving this, Hawkstern. You're like the third person. This is wonderful. Hello, Scott. How you doing? Skylar, I don't remember Scott saying good morning to you. Okay. Hang on one second. Complete asshole? We'll get there. Yeah, damn it, Skylar. Come on, sort yourself out already, okay? All right, so we're gonna take a mutable reference of self here, and we're gonna borrow the UDP socket here. All right. This thing has to return a result. And we're going to use the stud.io result for this thing. So by doing this, we will be able to read from the socket, and maybe we won't. Actually, we will. So this thing can return the socket address instead, right? Socket address. This will be the sender of the message, right? And then we take what we had before down here, where we get the byte count and the sender, and we just slap that in here instead, right? And then the unwrap thing here can just become a question mark, and we're good. And that's going to be self.inner. And now we can say that the index is the byte count. So with this, and let's add a basic public function here for a slice. Then we don't need this anymore. Even though they would have been kind of nice, but we're just going to have a slice function here instead that gives us a slice of bytes. And this will always be self.index. And we could have a mutable slice, but I don't see the point in that. We only let the connection manipulate this thing, right? But if we're doing it this way, then why don't we just store the connection on the buffer instead? So we're going to rename the buffer to connection. And then we store the socket on here. That seems a lot easier, and we call this thing bind, which is going to be generic over A, where A is the socket address. This has to return an IO result. Since we're going to do this a lot, we could just change this to, oh, there it is, to use the result as our default result for now. So we don't need this part anymore. That would be nice, right? You keep getting banned in stream. Sorry to hear that about it, Talon. I love the I got banned. Why? Oh, I wasn't doing anything. Sure you weren't. Now, should we pass in a socket here instead? There are some really good quotes in there, Hoxton. And then we call this read from instead of just read. And we use the self socket instead. That depends entirely on you. I tend to have mine end up at the bottom. I don't care if it's at the bottom or at the top, as long as it's one of those, right? Why not from, into, for it? We could have used from or into, but that means that we are... there's no inherent value of adding that for this thing, right? But if we add from a UDP socket, then we're making it possible to create the connection from different sources doing the same thing, right? You like your structs at the top? Yeah. Main is totally a switch. I mean, like, main is just a gateway drug to start, though, isn't it? All right. If you look at things like building an operating system and stuff, you've seen that start function, right? What was I doing? Oh yes, I was answering topgle, right? By implementing from into, first of all, we add monomorphization for no added benefit for every different connection that we have. There is no other way of creating a connection than through the bind function. So what would be the value? This is a genuine question. What would be the value of being able to create this from a socket, right? If the question is what, I don't know, you asked the question, so I don't know what the question is then. It makes sense to own the underlying thing. What is the underlying thing? Are we talking about the socket now? I feel like you started down a path of abstractions without telling me what these are. Okay, so we're gonna bind this to the socket. Now we have to add a where. We don't have to add a where clause, but we're gonna add a where clause. So actually, that is unnecessary. We can just say where this thing implements to socket adder, right? Like so. Whoops, no, not like so. Oh wow, okay. Whoops. That went in the wrong place, didn't it? And now we might be able to. Okay, is it not to socket address? To socket. Oh, plural. There we go. There we go. Right? It's all good, topgle. It's all good. I try to answer questions as best as I can, but there is a definite chance that I'm going to misunderstand you or you're going to misunderstand me. Either way, it's all good, right? We're just a couple of nerds on the internet wondering about things. All right, so we created our instance here. Instead of doing it this way now, we're going to change this thing to just be the connection or the con. And we're going to bind this to this address here, right? Then we don't need any of this or that. There we go. Can't have that unless we return a result here. The problem is that we might miss out on something or other, right? So instead, what we do in our main function here is just going to be an unwrap, just to make sure that we capture any like possible errors that happens, right? Making modules upon modules. I mean, most modules in your project when you die wins. You know that, right? You're not a nerd, says Waru, and I think we could just ignore that claim because it's so outright false. We love being random nerds, and absolutely right. Being a nerd today is a good thing, right? We should embrace the nerdiness. You still think line numbers should be required? line numbers, Scott, only makes it easy for people to confuse me, right? I did not see what happened. Do you have a clip of it? Why not name wrapping? Because name wrapping is ugly. Hipsters hijack nerdiness. Too right, Warlock. Hipsters made nerdiness cool, man. What a bunch of. Thank you, Fry. Okay, so we now have our connection, but we haven't done anything about our connections, right? So we need to be able to read into these things, right? So let's call connection.read from. Now, read from sounds like we're reading from some kind of like read from this buffer, read from this particular socket or whatever, right? But instead it's like read from something, and what that something is, we'll find out about later, right? So read from will give us the sender. All right, and now we can get to this part, right? Okay, so we can now insert something here when we do a read. If this thing doesn't exist, but what is it that we're going to insert? Well, the thing that we read from is stored in our buffer now. So we could just say insert username, right? However, this thing is obviously going to borrow this, which is a whole big nothing. You can't do that kind of thing, right? So we're going to try to say username to string here. Whether you prefer to string or into or to owned if you're coming from way back, right? That's up to you, right? You missed it by a few seconds. Well, hopefully it'll come back, right? Now, if we have an existing message here, we could just print this out, right? And the username is kind of silly, so we're going to change this to Esther instead. Now, that's no, whoops. That's not a woefully useful name here, right? It's a little bit bad, but we'll do Esther instead, right? That kind of implies that we're treating the connection as a string, right? But the connection and its underlying buffer, or the socket and its buffer, kind of makes up the connection. So yeah, semantics. Oh look, nobody cared, so we moved on. All right, and then we're gonna go sleepy sleep. Here, I don't know. So this thing, I wonder if it will be blocking when we do this, right? But we should, in theory, have something now. So we can netcat -u. I think we used like 5,000. We did 2. All right, there we go. Explicit panic. But that doesn't seem like something I really wanted. And I guess we're going to go and fix that now in 3.3. Oh, right. So we should return an OK sender here, right? I have jumped the metaphorical gun a little bit, right? Which is a weird expression, but I'm sure there's some etymology to that. Etymology? One is like the history or origin of a word. The other one is the study of insects. You have entomology and etymology. Entomology is the study of insects. Okay, now we know. Okay, so this seemed to be working to some degree. Now, because this is UDP, we can do this. All right. Nothing happened here that indicates that the connection was ever closed, because there is no connection. Okay. Well, I'll try to keep an eye out for I could just use this instead for next one, so we'll do that and have to keep splitting the window, right? Okay, so we're gonna do this, and then here, if we have an existing one, we can now say username, right? And then we put everything on one line like that. Okay, so this thing is not overly exciting, but we should now be able to do this. And then Bobby, and I love bunnies, right? Bob. Oh yeah, we need to trim that, don't we? Okay. Well then, right. Now we haven't determined some kind of protocol for this, but we need some. You know what we could do though? we could just trim this here. That would make more sense. To do it where we need it rather than to do it somewhere else, where like in a generic way. So generic Sam, I love ham. So generic Sam says I love ham, sandwiches, and other things, right? We're getting the double space in there, right? Let's fix that to dot trim. There we go, right? That's because this thing is a floating. It's a fixed position. It's a floating widget. It's not weird at all. It's the expected behavior of it, right? It's just that I am using it in this case as a title for a border. If we go and look at the code here for a redemption, where are you? Event. You can see that we're using a C stack and a position, and the position puts this thing on a separate layer, which will be drawn after all the other widgets are drawn, which is how you can have floating widgets and stuff, right? So there's not really anything weird about it. It's just the nature of the widget, right? This thing is more of a hack that I threw in this morning because I saw that both Maniac and JD subscribed yesterday, but I didn't see that until after stream, so I feel like I need to say thank you to them, right? It's neither. It's an abuse of floating widgets is the answer. Now, we don't really have a means to do this without floating widgets, so let's be clear on that, right? So as much as this isn't a bug, this is right now the only way to achieve this, right? What we could do is we could float this thing as well, I suppose. So we can put a C stack here. I think this will fix the issue. What happened there? Whoops, that would have broken a lot of things, right? All right. So now this will no longer happen, right? Because this border here is floating on top of that one, right? And that fixes the lines as well, right? So, well, we'll see. We'll see when this thing gets there, right? I can spam chat a little bit. Nope, that's still on top of that thing. That is concerning. Oh. Spelling have. Oh, I broke it. Oh, I broke it. And now it's truly broken. Now it's truly broken. And this is a bug that I need to fix before I release this. Right. But we're good now. I can clear the chat too. You know, I can't be bothered, right? You feeling shame? Don't feel shame. Shouldn't it be that I should feel ashamed, not you? You shouldn't feel ashamed because I did the clickbaity thing, right? Oh, I broke this thing too. Hang on. I'm breaking everything left, right, and center here, aren't I? That's because this thing is connected to Twitch, and it probably shouldn't be, right? I don't eat ice cream, and I can tell you with gusto why I don't eat ice cream, and I can give off the same vibes as someone who's recently discovered veganism or something like that, right? But I'm gonna try not to, right? You have a first driving class today. Well, good luck, Wire. Good work. Don't kill anyone. Car driving. I mean, Skylar, come on, buddy. Come on, man. Too much low-hanging fruit, okay? Well, in that case, Clender, couldn't you just drink a melted ice cream? Maybe make a milkshake. Although I suppose that's still going to be very cold, right? Keto diet? Oh, good God, no. I just don't eat snacks. That's all. There's no point in like talking about why, because you can't really talk about why without sounding like a morally superior asshole, right? But the long and short of it is because I'm better than you, right? That's fair enough. Okay. So let's try this now. All right. So Bob says, hello, world. All right. So we're getting messages to both or from both of these connections into the server. But we're not getting anything from the server back to these things. So given this one, we should now broadcast messages back instead of echoing the messages out here. IRC does not work over UDP, Skylar. I think the level of skill issue you're exhibiting is making my shoulders hurt, right? All right, I'm gonna stop saying these things to you, Skylar. I know you're having a tough day. I thought maybe some light internet abuse would make you happy, but I'm guessing it's not working. You don't seem to express any cheer around this. Keys really is what we want. And then here we can do connection.send to the address the message. So we're going to change this to a format. Although in reality, we're only interested in the bytes, right? Oh no, Farai. I don't understand. I thought it was mandatory to be subscribed to this stream. That explains so much. The only way I can get friends is if my parents force other kids to play with me. Streaming is about the same way, right? Okay, so connection send, and we have to have a message. So we're gonna do message as bytes. We're not gonna like unwrap or exit here because this thing can fail, right? Oh no, I said as a kid. All right, Christopher. Then obviously as time goes by and people realize what kind of a person I really am, the friend just starts falling off, right? Recipient is going to be a socket address, and the payload is going to be a byte slice. Thank you for the sub, Farai. Thank you so much. Hang on, I better text my dad and say, thank you for bullying Farai into being my friend and sub. Thank you. That's just how it goes, Scott. That's just how it goes. So I made a joke yesterday. Modprog came in and said, put some clothes on, and instinctively, without thinking, I just said, why, your mom's just gonna take them off straight away, right? And that's such a streamer thing to say, right? But like reflecting on that later, No, I don't think this is the case with Modprog, but if someone else would have said that and their parents would have passed away or whatever, that would have felt pretty bad though, right? So maybe it's worth not saying these things. That's just called con. There we go, right? All right. Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, so like, and I said this to my body pillow, and she's like, well, I mean, she's like, if you're gonna be worried about offending people based on all of these various situations, you're gonna end up not talking to anyone, right? So maybe I should just put a disclaimer: if you're sensitive, you've come to the right place. Maybe not that. But yeah. So sending self.socket.send. Is there a send to? Okay. Is it the other way around? I genuinely just made that up, but it made sense, right? Oh, mate. You're not wrong. That goes in the code part, man. I mean, I saw I think it was a Reddit post where someone said something and the reply was, "You must be new to the internet." And I have made that comment myself many times. You must be new to the internet, because it is kind of a valid thing to say, right? Hi, I am Bob. All right, there we go. But we don't get the new line in there, so we should probably attach that to this as well. Oh, this is such a frustrating thing to do. We have to extend the payload. Ugh. That's all right, Tabgul. There are endless quotes by people who wish they would have said things differently. In the beginning, I used to ask if I could remove the kappas from people's comments, and but in the end, I just stopped doing that, right? Because that wouldn't have been true to the quote, right? He was in a stream earlier today where the streamer was pretty heavy on the source. It was pretty bad. He got triggered by everything in chat, had an argument with anyone for the smallest thing, and banned a bunch of people for nothing. I mean, that sounds counterproductive, right? And drinking is obviously going to bring out a lot of emotions. If you are drunk or high or depressed or any of these things, right, then a lot of things that are happening around you will affect you negatively, right? People saying things to you might come off as criticism, even though it's not. And when you're in a state where your judgment is impaired, you probably don't have the mental energy or like even the cognitive skill to understand what it is people are actually saying, right? And I know this because I do this, I react to this myself, right? If I'm in a bad state or like bad states, so if my head has fallen off and my leg is in another continent, right? On another continent or whatever, right? But no, if I'm feeling just like exhausted from lack of sleep, lack of food, or overworked, burned out, whatever it is, then it's very easy for me to, I don't necessarily react to it, but it's very easy for me to take things that people say a little bit too close to heart, right? So someone will say, someone will say something profoundly internet-like, and instead of laughing about it or ignoring it or dismissing it or even better, replying to it, it kind of gets to me, right? But as a streamer, you must never show when something gets on your skin, because if you do, man, you are just vulture food at that point, right? It called you an asshole for recommending Python as a beginner language. That's pretty. So like, just so I have a little bit more context, right, Chris? What was the conversation, right? What was the conversation? And I'm not doubting you here. I just want to know about the conversation, okay? That led to someone recommending Python as a beginner language and the other person calls them an asshole for that. I am too sensitive sometimes. You're not wrong. Python is a wonderful beginner language. But what is often lost in the conversation of beginner languages is who is the beginner, right? If the beginner is a grown-up with a PhD in linear algebra and sausage making, then maybe Haskell is the better first programming language for them, right? Like, what did you do before this? Oh, category theory. Okay, but maybe Python isn't for you. I don't know, right? I mean, it could be, but you have potential for other things, right? Lambda calculus. Ooh, right. So yes, of course, right? There wasn't a conversation. There was one in the chat asking for advice beginning game programming. I remember Python and Pygame or Godot. Two perfect recommendations. Absolutely spot on, Chris, and I support your choice there, right? And the thing is, I can't call you an asshole because your opinion is right or wrong according to me, right? Because it is an opinion. If I was going to angrily disagree with everyone who's wrong in chat all the time, that's all I would do. Because when I say being wrong, I'm saying having the wrong opinion because it's not the same as mine, which makes them objectively wrong. Is that how it works? Yes, that's how it works. 8086 assembly. Oh, who's got time for that, Tapghoul? Who's got time for that, right? But yeah, no. So let's just break down a conversation, right? An imaginary conversation, because I can't say what happened there, right? So we're having an imaginary conversation here, right? If someone says like, what's a good language to learn for some game programming, and someone goes Python, I can understand that someone else would go, because people seem to suffer physically if they don't get to be contrarian sometimes, right? And I support your right to be a contrarian, guys. You don't stop, right? So instead of acting like an adult, let me back up 1 second, right? Telling someone something on the internet is a little bit like dealing with the biggest idiots in the world, okay? For various reasons. It's intentional and malicious misunderstanding is almost one of my favorites, okay? And what do I mean by that? It's if someone comes up to me on the street and be like, hey, a random person, I've never seen you before, but for some reason you look like a programmer, because I'm assuming you look like that because you haven't showered for a while and you seem to not see a lot of sunlight, which means I can only draw that conclusion. So what's a good, is Python a good place to start for making game? I'd be like, yeah, you can totally start with Python, right? You can start with Python to learn the programming basics. And from there on, you can either explore Pygame or you can jump to something like Godot, which has a Python dialect as a language and or Python-like language or whatever, right? And that's fine, right? But because people are sometimes painfully desperate to correct other people, and I'm gonna tell you this, right? There's a couple of things that to put things into perspective, right? People have a need to be right without understanding that you don't need to be right. Okay, these people are not the assholes. Okay, like, I'm not saying that you're an asshole if you like this. Okay, you're just a human who is built that way. Okay, that's fine. But nobody cares. Okay, I can tell you that. So I accept you, but I will also tell you that I don't care. Okay, so let's go with this for a little bit, right? So let's say that you have a conversation with someone and be like, hey, all right, what first programming language should I learn? And be like, yeah, Python or JavaScript, whatever. These are simple languages to learn, lots of learning resources, go for it, have fun, right? Because you're a programmer, so you know this. You know that the first language you learn is not the one you're going to stick with, right? But then you have someone interjecting with, so the answer is perfectly valid, and then someone goes, no, you have to learn C++ because the entire games industry is built on C++. Dude, no one asked how to become a professional game developer, right? No one was dishing out career advice or anything, right? Someone in this imaginary conversation just asked about a programming language, of which programming language to learn, right? And to some people, C++ is a valid answer, right? C++ might be a good first programming language, right? And people have done that and they've enjoyed it. They've built entire careers around it. So that's not a wrong answer, right? But if we get to like the correctness of people, okay? Where some people need to be correct even if there's no value in it, okay? So it's a little bit like, have you ever been in a conversation, okay? And if you do this, just think about this for a second, because if you think about this, you will level up your social skills, okay? Let's say that you have a significant other, a body pillow, if you will, and you're in the same room as your body pillow, and they are talking to one of their friends or a relative or someone. You're not really even part of this conversation. You could be, but you're not, okay? And then they are recounting an anecdote. Pay attention to this now, okay? Because this is something you might not have known in life. And I'm going to level up your social skills for you here, right? Oh, you smug asshole streamer. Yes, so this body pillow of yours is telling an anecdote about how they drove this red car in the year 2010 to a place where they stopped and slept for 5 hours and then continued driving, okay? They drove this red car to a place in 2010 and they stopped to have a sleep for 5 hours and then they continued driving. This is part of the conversation, or this is part of the conversation they are having with someone else. And you remember with utmost certainty that the car was blue and they only slept for 4 hours, or maybe even better, they told you they only slept for 4 hours. Okay. And this is, if you're doing this, pay attention to this now. If you feel a knee-jerk reaction, desire / need, compulsion to stop your body pillow from recounting the story because you have to correct them and go, no, the car was blue and you told me you only slept for 4 hours, okay? Now we're going to get into the analysis here. What have you done? And what is the value to the conversation, to your significant other, and to the person that's listening to the conversation? What is the value that you have added, right? You've added what you think is a truth to a conversation, okay? But in reality, you have stopped someone, you've interrupted someone telling a story, you've injected needless, pointless details into this story, and the only thing you're doing is correcting someone who most likely never asked you to correct them in the first place, okay? Now, if you're guilty of doing this and you stop doing this, you will level up your social skills and your body pillow will thank you and me for this, okay? Okay? So, free social skill DLC, okay? Free social skills DLC. All right, download today. When you're observing two people having a conversation, I want you to try this as an exercise. Shut up, okay? Just shut up, right? Do not offer your opinion. Do not interrupt them while they are talking, okay? Because you are not adding value. You might think you are, but you are not, okay? It is, as a matter of fact, I frequently visit streams and I see conversations in chat and I go, whew, that is so wrong. I don't even know what country you're in at this point. You and the truth are in two different countries, okay? You are so far apart, you couldn't find it with a GPS, all right? Or some streamer is, do we have any streamers in the chat that I can make fun of? No. Oh, shit. Some streamer is saying something, right? And they're like, oh, you know, if you want to become really good at Rust programming, you should spend 10 years programming C. And on the inside, I cry because of the ridiculousness of the statement. But in chat, I will just be quiet because it's their stream, it's their narrative, okay? And I keep saying this, that streamers are full of shit all the time. Okay? Like, you will say something, and this is gonna be a little bit controversial, and I want us to stay on subject. I want to stay on topic, right? But there are people out there who are wrong. You might know this, okay? You might even be wrong yourself, right? But if a streamer is wrong, people feel the urge to make a big deal of it. The bigger the streamer is, the bigger the lens is on the streamer being wrong. All right? But there's very little introspection happening there, right? I mean, it's almost like you want to say, you know, if you've never made these mistakes, then by all means, throw your weight around. But have you never been wrong? Okay. Reply with lol and then refuse to elaborate. Yeah, that is not bad though, Tap Goal. I think that's a pretty good move, right? But you don't stream, Scott, so it's not the same thing, right? I'm starting to think nitpicking is not a good thing. Oh man, it isn't, but it can be fun because it leads to content for me. Okay, so you know, no, it is like this. Okay, I've looked at a few things lately where I have seen a lot of people being very outspoken about something. And I'm not arguing whether they are right or wrong here, right? People are being outspoken about something, but in one case, right? And I'm sorry for being a little bit vague here, but that's because I'm trying to avoid to kind of bring a drama into view. This is not about the drama itself. This is about the people who are perpetuating drama a little bit, right? And people do what people do, right? The internet's gonna internet. But here's the thing. I actually looked into some of these things, and the people who are doing a lot of grandstanding and being very, oh, you know, this is terrible and this is this and this. It didn't have to look far to realize that they are just as guilty themselves, right? But the hypocrisy of mankind is interesting, okay? Many years ago, I printed a t-shirt that said, I'm the exception to all my rules. And this is something that is a joke to me, that I enjoyed the joke, right? You should tell yourself this, but it should be told to you by yourself as a joke, that I am the exception to all my rules, okay? Right? Have you ever spoken to a racist person and then you go, but Kevin here, oh no, but Kevin's all right? Okay, what we're operating with degrees of racism I don't understand here, but okay, right? So there's always that, like, okay, but this other person did the same thing. Yeah, but they're all right. Okay, that asshole that overtook me on the motorway when I was on my way to buy my crack today, he could have killed someone. He was driving so fast. But you were driving that fast last week. Yeah, but I was late for an appointment, man. I told you I need to get the crack, right? We are making ourselves and the people we like, they are exempt from all the rules that we have, our moral rules, right? That we have for other people. They don't apply to the people we like. They doubly apply to the people we don't like. And to be clear, I am just as guilty as you of this, okay? I have a little bit of self-awareness from time to time, but let's not pretend that I am better. I mean, I am, because, you know, it's my stream and I can do whatever I want. But let's not pretend that like one person is worse or better than another when it comes to these things, right? There are objectively bad people, right? We're not saying that. We're not saying, oh, you're a bad person, I'm a bad person. That guy over there, is he bad? Who's that, Hitler? Yeah, he's not all right though, right? Is he as bad as us? He was a vegetarian though, right? I want a shirt that says I'm the smartest person in the room. I think we can change that a little bit, Scott, to make it good. So I was working out of an office in Shoreditch, which is a hipster place, and there was a company there called L-Shift, and they were full of really smart people. There was a guy there, I think his name was like Maciek or something, Polish guy. I don't know how to pronounce his name. And he wrote a blog, and on that blog, he wrote something that stuck with me. And it just said, never be the smartest person in the room, right? Because then you don't learn anything. And that kind of stuck with me for a bit. Now, I happen to be the only person in the room a lot. And this is where I think the joke would make sense, Scott, right? If we could fit in if we could paint the scenario as we are the only people in the room and never being the smartest person in the room, that would be a good joke, though, right? Yes, there is no way a streamer with an inflated ego is a bad thing. Do you know what people do with a streamer with an inflated ego? They make it their life's goal to destroy the streamer, okay? We will build you up, but when you're at your top, we're coming for you, son, okay? Hey, this guy used to be cool. We used to tell him that all the time. Now he's an asshole. Let's tell him that all the time. Oh, now he really is an asshole. Okay, who would have thought, right? Also the dumbest person in the room. Yeah, but that's what we have to formulate the joke in such a sense that the person who is reading the joke understands that you are saying that you're the smartest person in the room when you're alone in the room, right? Now, I don't know what I mean, I feel like we've taken the premise of that pretty far now, that the joke is a little bit dead from dissection. We dissected the joke to death. That's graphical. All right, let me read. I know someone that's in the heat for the moment. Is this all right, so I want to make a joke here that pertains to animals, but I'm not going to, Chris, because I'm above that. I think there's a lot of people in that situation, right? There are countless YouTubers. I mean, I remember, I don't watch Mr. Beast, but there was a while ago where people made it their life's job to talk about this guy. And it was like, oh, Mr. Beast is lying. Mr. Beast is exploiting children. How is that a realization now? By the way, how many adults are watching Mr. Beast? I grew up. No, I didn't. I didn't. But my kid watched a lot of these kinds of videos, like Minecraft people and stuff. I knew of a bunch of content creators that I would never watch because they don't make content that interests me, right? But I knew about them because they were massive. And the thing with massive content creators some years ago is that the target audience was always the kids, right? The insane number of views, these unpacking slime and surprise gifts and stuff they got. And you have like this woman with, for some reason, like 30-inch nails. Like you think she's ready to hand out apples to princesses at some point, right? And she's sitting there playing with slime. She's probably in her 30s, and she'd be like, oh, this is amazing. And I know why she's doing this. But as an adult watching this, I'm like, what the am I watching here, right? Why is this captivating to you? And my kid's like, do you want me to turn it off? I said, no. Let's see where this is going, right? What is it going to open next, man? I'm invested now. So yeah, no, I it's like that. The moment you reach a level of celebrityship or fame like this, I don't remember who said this, but I love this expression, and I'm going to paraphrase. When You know you've succeeded when random strangers who don't know you or anything about you hate you, right? Like someone who doesn't, and it's not like they're gonna bother find out, because if you're watching 500 different videos a day of different content creators, and one of them is like, here's a short video of Togglebit throwing a cat off a balcony, right? I don't have a cat. And guess why? Throwing a cat off a balcony, right? Oh, the asshole, right? What about... You don't know if I was saving the cat from a burning building. And before that, I saved an entire family. I didn't, right? I still have my hair and my eyebrows. But, or I never threw a cat off a balcony either. But let's say that you only see that. And you'll be like, oh, I hate this guy now. He's cruel to animals. I'm not. I love my bunny. And it's like, it's terrible. As a matter of fact, the wife keeps telling me that we need to start an animal rescue, right? But she wants to like take in dogs, and dogs are a lot of work, right? Anyway, so hot dogs aside, right? So you see this thing and you'd be like, oh, what an asshole he is, right? And to me, I don't get to defend myself because you are not going to give me the time, right? Maybe there's a video I make trying to address the situation. Be like, look, the house is clearly on fire. We're stuck on the balcony with the cat. I threw the cat down first, and then I jumped after the cat, right? We're both saved. By the way, the cat grew up to be mayor of the town now, right? And the cat's like driving. I'd be like, yeah, check me out, right? I'm the cat. I'm the cat of the town. Cool cat. I don't know where I'm going with this. But anyway, right? So then I make a video some time later, be like, my take on why I had to chuck the cat, right? And the cat's fine, by the way. But so let's do that thing, and then like a fraction of people sees it. People who don't like me is not gonna like me anymore for it anyway. They're gonna be like, "Fuck you, pandering to the masses with that shit. We know you hate cats." And the people who like me, they're gonna be like, "Oh, we didn't think you did that anyway, right? We kind of assumed the cat was an asshole, right? Maybe the cat had like been, making inappropriate comments about your body pillow. What do I know, right?" So it is insane, right? It is insane. It's sometimes something that is frustrating at work sometimes, because it's basically my thing to become a domain expert on shit I do. It's annoying because I do system architecture, and it's really hard to get people to give me counterpoints because nobody else really knows the domain very well. It's a pain. I mean, then you can just make shit up though, and your job's going to be really easy. You'll be like, we're going to do it this way. Why? Well, are you the expert or me? Yeah, I thought so. Sit down, right? It's a figure, I'm sure. Can we just make a print of a chart where there's one dot and a couple axes, average, strongest, but it's just one dot? Look, you think people can read graphs, right? What's your opinion on Serbia if you have one? It's a country. It was once bigger. I don't have an opinion on Serbia whatsoever, right? Another day, another wife beater. Oh my God. I don't know what to say to that. That was Gandhi. Gandhi was never a streamer, VMT. What are you talking about? Congratulations, Jackie. Too right, Scott. Where is your cat? Proof that the cat is unharmed. There was never a cat. The cat was me. I'm not fine.
Look, man. Ever since that balcony incident, I've been going through a tough time, man.
I wasn't driving that night. Cats have like incredible spines compared to bunnies, right? A bunny's spine is really sensitive. They can literally break their own spine if they freak out. That's how sensitive they are, right? I think a bunny's spine is something like 60% of the density of a cat's spine, right? Cats are amazing killer machines, architected to perfection. Bunnies are here because they multiply quick. Gandhi was where streaming really took off. Gandhi was before Justin TV, man. What are you on about? Okay, well, we saturated that conversation. That was fun, right? I don't know anything about the anatomy of capybaras, though, right? But capybaras, the things that have become trends with children because of the internet are capybaras, alpacas, and for some reason, axolotls. And what else do we have? Like no one in like Europe gave a about capybaras before the internet, right? They didn't, right? What is this? A kind of large horse rodent? Sure, why not, right? Honey badgers are freaking scary, though, right? Honey badger, it's like Rock Band. Honey badgers, as made famous by, and then you have to insert honey badgers, as made famous by Far Cry 4. There you go, right? The mammal version of a cockroach. No, it's the opposite, Scott. A cockroach will survive a lot of things. A bunny can die. Its life can be in jeopardy within hours of it starting to eat, right? Bunnies needs to eat constantly, right? If they're not eating, their stomach stops working. They stop. The stomach stops. It's called GI stasis. And if that happens, your bunny can be dead within hours, right? If it doesn't get the treatment. Like, it can live, but the stomach doesn't start again. So it will just die, right? So when you observe your bunny not eating, it is terrifying. And this can happen because the bunny is got GI stasis or it's got a hairball. Right, it can be something which can be dangerous, but it can be something completely innocuous, or it can be life-threatening. Bunnies are the most stressful animal ever to have in my world, right? Yeah. Animal pre-alpha. Is the chat blocking your Oh yeah. So anyone writing in caps lock, I just translate that to shouting nonsense. And that's not because of you, Chris. That's because I had some chatters who simply wouldn't turn off caps lock, right? In their world, caps lock was cruise control for cool, right? So there are things like that which has led me to do that. I could just lowercase everything, but then where's the fun in that, right? Captain Caps and his shift crew, yeah. Okay, so we built something. Now what? What happened if we changed the MTU to 14? Unsurprising, right? So I am not. So how we deal with that is going to be subject to what we do, right? Maniac or JD does dev. If you're in the chat, let me know that you've seen my message up there, right? I feel bad enough. I don't know what you mean, Molkuma. It looks perfectly fine here. What are you talking about? Okay, so we do this for the message and then we inject a new line. That's all we had to do, right? Nope, no. So if we split this, we netcat and we say Bob, Alice, alive. I am alive. There we go, right? How remarkable. Okay, so this is useful. All right, but we don't have any of the useful things here. We just have a network thing going, right? Totes, man. So this gives us the connection and the way to connect clients and stuff to this. I don't know what else we need to do. Now we need to build something on top of this though, right? We should build maybe we should build like a client thing on top of this. So we build this as a server. But here's the funny thing with the lack of tea that I'm exhibiting, though, right? We kind of need to go and add some more tea to this. But or do I even have time for this? I feel like I've been streaming for a lot longer than I have, but I'm gonna have to do some. I'm gonna have to do some useful. I don't know. Why do I not have the energy to stream for long anymore? I don't know. I don't know what it is. Right? I am doing too many things. Maybe it's too warm. Maybe it's too warm. It could be, that could be a valid excuse, couldn't it? But I'm thinking about the ridiculous amount of gardening I have to do and whether I should just go and do that. I hate gardening. I hate gardening. A little bit of burnout, absolutely. Which is, it's a lot more easier. The thing is, I don't know you. You're watching this. You're not even chatting. I don't know you. So I don't know what you want. So it's really difficult for me to tailor my content to what makes you interested in it, right? And maybe that's programming. Maybe that's generic assholery. I don't know. All right. But I do know that I've gone through some burnout recently, and I am getting to the point where I am really struggling a little bit, making content. It's not the making content part that is difficult. It is the love for programming that I have is a little bit muted right now. All right. Are you in heat? Very good. But I love programming in general, but right now programming makes me tired. It makes me very tired. And I think maybe that's it, right? I tried gaming, but you guys made it abundantly clear that gaming bit is a and his mother too. So we're not doing that anymore. So I don't know, right? It's difficult to know what to do. Again, I keep thinking maybe I need to do more videos instead because videos are a lot different paced, right? I need to make the video for building the hack bar, right? Because I think you'll be surprised at how easy it is. So for all the people who use i3 out there, both of you, you can build your own hack bar and it's super easy. And I'm thinking maybe I should make a video on that to just show you this, right? No, but none of my streams have been good lately, Scott. I mean, like statistically, they've been bad. And you know what happens when your stream starts going down? I know it's the holiday as well, but these numbers, and I keep saying this to anyone who wants to get into streaming, you gotta not look at the numbers. They will just with your head all the way to Sunday, because you look at the numbers and then they go down and you don't know why, so you start making things up. It's like the girlfriend that breaks up with you and you'd be like, why are you breaking up with me? Was it my snoring, my incessant eating of crisps in the bed, or what was it, that I threw your cat off the balcony? But she's like, oh, you know what you did, and then she leaves, right? This obviously never happened to me because inanimate objects can't break up with you, but so it's like you don't know why the numbers are down, and it could be because everyone who watches my stream has gone on a holiday at the same time. Yes, that seems likely, right? Could be that people watch their streams in the summer. I don't know, but you start making shit up. You start making things up. Is it because you're like low energy? Do you have to be a little bit more high paced, more energetic? What is it like that you need to change to get the interaction with the community to kind of get back into it? You don't know, right? So you kind of get stuck in this thing, right? And that is not in itself interesting streaming content, so you can't really stream that. Wait, didn't I just do that? Ah, fidge. People are in meetings. That's what we gotta go with, Excel. Everyone who's watching my stream or who stopped watching my stream just had to go to a meeting that has lasted a couple of months. That's I pray for all of you in those long meetings out there. One day you'll be free to come and watch my stream again, right? No. This starts to sound like a poor me thing. I'm playing the world's smallest violin for myself here, right? It's very... Oh, I dropped... Oh my god, I can't find the bow. Kind of took that joke too far, didn't you, right? Sorry. Oh, the bot is too mean sometimes. Oh my god, the bot. The bot is so mean sometimes. Could have been a Slack message. Could have been an email. A meeting without food should have been an email, right? But yeah, I don't want to. I don't feel like I can pivot into something else though, right? That's like not something I want to do differently, because this is just like a phase where I don't feel as excited about programming. These things comes and goes, right? And it's probably just burnout. I've like recently we finished Anathema and released that. We're still working on it, obviously, but we finished that. I realized that doesn't make good streaming content. I am like impressed with the things we can do with it, but no one else is. So in essence, I just said I impress myself. Yeah. Oh man, it's very comfortable. This horse is such a high horse, right? Anyway. Maybe we take a break and I'll go and do some grass touching, and we'll come back. The thing is, I know what it is. I know what this is. Okay, I can kind of put my finger on it. I can't tell you why my view count goes down. Right? Honestly, let's not give a fuck about that. Right? Instead, what is like, I don't have a direction. Right? I haven't planned this out, and I don't think planning software out is something that I'm very vocal when I'm doing, right? So I will sit here and I will look at the code. I will go and look at other examples of it. Chat will tell me like tidbits of things that I should know, but not really how it is associated with other things. So I can't make sense of it, and that just becomes distracting. So I stop reading chat, and you know how it goes, right? So it's not particularly good content, right? But I'm gonna go and do some gardening. You're gonna go and touch some grass too, and we'll reconvene on stream later. And you tell me how productive you've been, and I'll try not to brag about how productive I was, right? Yes, I shall do something like that, right? Okay, so on that note, I will bid you farewell, and I will return maybe later if I have something.